Hey there, so right here we have a brand new iPhone SE 3rd generation, and I just got it from Walmart today for $150. That would mean that this is currently the most powerful iPhone that you can get on the market today for less than $200. See, what makes the iPhone SE 3rd generation so great is the fact that the chip inside of here is the exact same chip that is in the iPhone 13. That means this is going to be faster than the iPhone X, the iPhone XR, the iPhone 12, the iPhone 11, and the iPhone 13 is equivalent to it in terms of performance, and all of those phones currently are selling for more than this smartphone. So how did I get it so cheap brand new? Well, there's a little bit of a caveat to all of this, but first let's open the phone up. So opening it up, here we have the actual phone itself. And looking at it in the light, it honestly looks more blue than black, but it definitely is small. It's definitely a pretty small phone. But okay, there is the phone right there. And look, I gotta confess something to you guys right now. I actually have been using an old iPhone for years now. Here is my current smartphone, the iPhone 8 Plus. Now, the reason I'm still on the iPhone 8 is mostly just because I don't really see a reason to upgrade. I only use my phone to essentially message people on Telegram, go on Reddit, and occasionally look at Patreons for people that I'm subscribed to. All of that I can still do on the iPhone 8 Plus, but the problem with the iPhone 8 Plus is that it's no longer getting any new iOS updates. This is stuck on iOS 16 while the current version is iOS 18. It pretty much only gets security patches at this point. That doesn't bother me too much because, again, I only really do so much on my phone. I'm not really much of a power user, but one thing that also has bothered me about potentially moving away from the iPhone 8 Plus is the fact that I will no longer have a physical button. I like being able to unlock my phone with just my fingerprints. I don't like the idea of using Face ID. So for $150, I was kind of excited to potentially get the last iPhone that has a physical button before this gets replaced. Now let's see if this thing actually has some charge to it. Oh, okay, yeah, it's definitely turning on. Of course, in the box we only got the charging cable, not a brick. So you can see just the cable, no brick along with it. And it is a USB-C to Lightning cable. Also, of course, do get the SIM removal tool. Okay, so here we have the phone getting ready for the whole setup process. Of course, it says it has no SIM. Now, one thing about this is that the reason that it's $150 is because it is tied to a carrier. It's tied specifically to Straight Talk, which is essentially a subsidiary of Verizon that is part of their prepaid services. They have quite a few of them. And so this is carrier locked. And that might already be a deal breaker for a lot of people, but keep in mind that there is actually a very easy way of unlocking it. But again, there are a few caveats to it. But let me get this thing set up so we could see just the capabilities of this phone right now. Okay, so here I have it set up already. I got it set up as pretty much a new iPhone, but I have downloaded some of the apps that I have already on my iPhone. So here you can see some of the things that I've downloaded. We, of course, have an emulator there. We have Call of Duty Mobile, Filmic Pro, and Moonlight. And I've been messing around with the phone for a little bit since I've got it set up, and I have been really impressed by the performance. See, most phones that you're going to find at this price point, at around $100 to $150, tend to suffer pretty dramatically in terms of performance, especially when it comes to things like gaming. And that's where this specific device actually comes in and does something pretty remarkable, because you're getting the exact same chip inside here that was in the iPhone 13. So you're getting flagship smartphone performance from just a couple of years ago. Now, of course, the big disadvantage is the pretty small size of the phone. I mean, me personally, even for someone like me who has been using an iPhone 8 Plus for almost 6 years now, this does feel pretty cramped, but it is a very nice quality display. I do like having the physical button, and again, the performance that you get out of this thing is pretty insane. We're gonna jump into Call of Duty Mobile right now to actually try it out, but one great thing is the fact that iOS does natively support the Xbox controller. And Call of Duty Mobile actually supports that feature as well, so we're going to be playing Call of Duty Mobile with a controller. So here we have the Xbox controller already paired with the device and just pairs over Bluetooth, so we just need to jump into the app.
So I ended up playing a lot more Call of Duty Mobile than I was expecting. Playing with an Xbox controller on this iPhone is honestly an insane experience. The biggest issue that I've always had with mobile gaming is the touch controls. I'm so used to being a mouse and keyboard or a controller gamer that having to use a touchscreen honestly makes gaming impossible for me. And at least according to the game's main menu, if you're playing with a controller, it's going to queue you up with other people using controllers, so you're not exactly getting an insane advantage over a bunch of people that are stuck playing with just touch controls. But what I found the most surprising about all of this is actually the fact that I've been playing a lot more Call of Duty Mobile than I have been playing Black Ops 6. And it's mostly because these matches are just so extremely quick. By the time I even get Black Ops 6 launched, I could have played 2 whole matches of Call of Duty Mobile. I do have to point out though that 64 gigabytes of storage is not a lot nowadays. As you can see here, Call of Duty Mobile is using up 34 gigabytes. So just Call of Duty Mobile makes up half of the storage of this phone right now. That being said, this is not a bad device at all. I mean, there's a lot of performance here, and for $150, being able to get on the Apple ecosystem is not a bad deal, especially with such modern hardware. Overall, you can do pretty much everything that you would want out of a phone, and you will not be seeing pretty much any slowdown at all. One of the bigger downsides is the camera. It's not a terrible camera by any means, but it is just the single lens. There's no multi-camera setup, and it's not insanely fully featured by modern phone standards, but it's still a pretty decent quality camera. One really great thing about having the camera here though is that we can use an app like Epoch Cam from Elgato, and what this lets you do is actually use your smartphone as a wireless webcam, or really just a wireless camera in general, because you can use this on OBS. You could use it for video call applications, and it's actually surprisingly really great latency, and the quality is of course really great because of the fact that it is an iPhone camera. And this is going to beat out pretty much any webcams that you're going to find out there for less than $300, and the app itself is actually only $10. So what exactly are you getting here then? Well, you're getting an iPhone that you're pretty much guaranteed to get multiple more years of updates because of just how modern the chip in here is in comparison to most other phones, especially iPhones at this price range. See, Apple has a very consistent track record of continuing to update their phones for a very long time. And even though more Android smartphone manufacturers are starting to adopt this as a policy, this has been an ongoing thing from Apple for multiple years now. So you're pretty guaranteed to get at least another 4 years of updates out of this phone, in comparison to if you bought something like the iPhone X or the XR or the iPhone 11 or the 12. Now, of course, Apple could decide to drop support for the SE 3rd generation because of just how radically different it is in comparison to the rest of the lineup. That's not out of the question, but it would be a kind of unprecedented move from Apple, since they have in general just kept updating their stuff until the usual life cycle that they go with. And if that's the case, you have a long-lasting, very powerful iPhone that has its biggest weakness definitely being its form factor. Because of its small size, the screen is definitely going to feel very cramped. And also because of its small size, the battery life isn't amazing. But again, we have to look at everything in terms of the price point that this is at. If we're comparing this to an iPhone 16, yeah, this is going to be a terrible experience, but that's not the competition here. The competition is the Android phones that you find at around the $100 to $200 price range. And at that price point, this is going to absolutely destroy any of those in terms of raw performance. Now, they might have a better form factor in terms of a bigger screen that's a higher resolution, but in terms of just raw performance, this is going to be leagues better. And there are some great videos that you can watch out there that kind of explain to you some of the issues with budget Android phones, but at the heart of it, it's the fact that budget mobile processors tend to be extremely cut down in comparison to flagship processors, to the point where a flagship processor from a couple of generations ago is going to be better than pretty much any mid-tier or low-end chip from Qualcomm or MediaTek or any of these companies. And what that means is that an iPhone like this that you can get with a chip that was on the high-end iPhone, being the iPhone 13, you get a chip in here now that is going to beat out pretty much every other budget phone, and it's not even close. So if you care about doing things like gaming, as you saw here, Call of Duty Mobile runs really well on here. So much better than it does on my iPhone 8 Plus. But I mean, you would expect it to after all these years. But again, this is on a phone that is just $150. Now, of course, the big caveat here is that it is carrier locked. It is locked to Straight Talk. That is who I'm locked to here. And Straight Talk, as I said, is a brand owned by Verizon. But what you can do is essentially just activate this phone for a month, just 1 month. And after 60 days from the moment of first activation, the phone will automatically unlock and you can use it on any carrier that you want. So you can get the lowest priced plan that they have available. Pay for just 1 month. Don't enable auto renew, none of that. Just pay for the 1 month and you now have yourself a brand new iPhone SE 3rd generation. So that's an Apple A15 processor for still under $200. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I know the form factor is going to be a deal breaker for a lot of people. It's going to be very small, and for some people, they're just not going to be able to do it. But if you have kids and you want to get them all iPhones, this is a very easy way to do it, especially because you're getting them an actually good iPhone in terms of how it's going to perform. Because as long as Call of Duty, as long as Roblox, as long as all of these different games are working on the phone, your kid's not going to complain too much that it's not the newest iPhone. But if you get them a brand new iPhone and it's not the latest one, and also the apps that they want to use aren't working, now they're really going to be complaining to you. So with this, you can actually get them something that is good quality so that it will actually keep up with the modern games that they're trying to play. So I've already activated my service on here. We'll see how it goes 60 days from now. But overall, I'm really impressed. I actually even got this setup going where I have the phone mounted on my nightstand so that I can play Call of Duty Mobile before I go to bed. So overall, $150, not a bad deal. You don't need to activate the service if you just want the phone. But if you do want to actually be able to use it with whatever carrier you're on, you are going to have to activate it for a month. But again, after 60 days from the moment of activation, it will automatically unlock. Just keep in mind, you do not need to pay for a second month. You only pay for the first month, then you wait 60 days from the moment you activate it. It isn't 60 days after the 30 days. It's 60 days from the moment you activated it. And once you do that, it should automatically unlock and you should just be able to use it on any carrier as long as it has the supported antennas. But anyways, I'm going to keep messing around with this phone and see what other cool things I can do with it. But if you're interested in this phone, check it out down below. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.